Hi, in this video we are going to look at simple proofs with Modus Tollens. Hi, this is Logical Self-Taught with Dr. Phi. In this video we are going to learn to use Modus Tollens in proofs. We will look at two simple proofs with it. We now know 4 rules. We have just added a 5th one, the Modus Tollens rule, which, given a conditional and the negation of its consequent, allows us to derive the negation of the antecedent. I've stressed already that the rule may be complicated because it requires the inference of a negation of an antecedent, where in the proof so far the negation would be absent, and this introduces some problems in the planning of the proof, so we need to take this into account. Okay, we have 5 premises. We proceed as usual. We try to get H. Can we find H in our premises? H is in the consequent of a conditional in line 5. We could derive it if we could match the antecedent. We would then apply Modus Ponens and get H. But in order to do that, we need to derive not A. Now the question is, how can we get not A? Well, if you look carefully through the premises, you will see that the only place where you can find not A is in the antecedent of the conditional in line 5. But no rule allows us to derive the antecedent of a conditional. So that strategy falls. But we have just learned about a new rule that allows us to derive the negation of an antecedent. In order to apply Modus Tollens here, we would have to have a conditional with A in the antecedent. So let's look whether we can find a conditional like that, and lo and behold, we have one in line 1. To derive not A from line 1 by Modus Tollens, we would have to have the negation of B. We can derive the negation of B in any simple way, but perhaps we can follow the same strategy of applying Modus Tollens, in which case we would need to find a conditional with B as the antecedent. There is a conditional like that in line 2. We can apply Modus Tollens to derive not B if we can derive the negation of its consequent, not C. And the same strategy is applicable to derive not C. We would need not D. Now, if you look carefully, we actually do have not D, so we are ready to go. We focus on lines 3 and 4. This is a clear opportunity to apply Modus Tollens. We can derive not C. Now we will try to derive not B. Looking at premise 2 and line 6, we again can apply Modus Tollens. To derive not A, we focus on line 1 and 7, and again apply Modus Tollens. And we are almost done. All that remains is the application of Modus Ponens to line 5 and our line 8. We've derived what we wanted. We are done. Again, we proceed by working backward. We are to derive H. H occurs in premise 3. It's the consequent of a conditional. We will be able to derive it by Modus Ponens if we can match the antecedent, so we would need to derive the conjunction, not A and not P. There is no simple way to derive it from anywhere, but we can always introduce a conjunction if we have both conjuncts, so let's try to look for that. We can already see that the second conjunct is in line 4, so we don't need to worry about it anymore, but we do have to worry about getting not A. If you look carefully, we have the same problem as we had in the previous proof. It might look like premise 3 would be the source for getting not A, but it's not. In premise 3, not A is in the antecedent of a conditional, so forget it. But we do have a conditional with A as the antecedent, so we could apply Modus Tollens provided that we have the negation of the consequent. Again, we don't have the negation of the conjunction B and C. No easy way to derive it, but we do have this same conjunction in the antecedent of a conditional. So we could apply Modus Tollens to get not B and C if we can get not P. But if you look carefully, we do have not P in line 4, so we are ready to go. Okay, we focus on lines 2 and 4. We have the negation of the consequent, so we can derive the negation of the antecedent. Our first sub-goal is achieved. Now we have the negation of the consequent of the conditional in line 1, so we can derive the negation of its antecedent, not A. And we wanted not A because we needed the conjunction, not A and not P, so we can now apply the conjunction rule. And recall that ultimately we needed that conjunction to apply modus ponens to get our conclusion H, which we can now do. If you feel a little lost in the proofs, this means you need to do more of the rule application exercises. Do as many as you can, redo them. They must really sit in your little finger. You need to be able to see the relevant patterns without your even thinking about it. This is Logic Self-Taught. It's exercise time. Do all the exercises until they feel like a breeze.